am on my way to the Sipsey Wilderness, and the only thing that I have with me is my food and camera equipment. I'm going to be stopping at a Walmart or two along the way to piece together my gear, and I'll be starting the trail tomorrow. I have no idea what I'm going to use. Well, that was fall number 1 of the trip. Caught myself kinda. But scoot down the rest of the way. I feel like if I stand up, I'm just gonna wipe out again. Okay. Woo! Slick as toad doo-doo. I was gonna blame it on my Walmart shoes, but it looks like I'm not the only one sliding around. I reckon that person could have had Walmart shoes too, though. I had intended on doing this trail a couple weeks ago, but while I don't mind rain, I didn't want to dodge tornadoes. And there were some pretty bad storms coming through, so I postponed until this week, which honestly worked out better because it won't be so cold at night. Not that anyone would have considered the temperatures a couple of weeks ago cold, except for my cold-natured self. But I'm hoping with all of those storms that there aren't just a ton of blowdowns out here. Now, how did this break right here on the trail? I mean, I think obviously the most logical explanation is Sasquatch stepped on it. Speaking of Sasquatch, I got a new piece of camera equipment that I brought with me because, you know, I can't quit adding on weight with camera equipment. I've got a game camera, or trail cam, whatever you want to call it, but I'm going to set it up tonight when I go to sleep and hope to catch something really cool, because I always wonder what pokes around outside of my tent at night. I feel like it has to be something. There's so many things in the woods. So there's a creek, river, something right over there. And I was just noticing on this tree, you see all these leaves stuck to it, and then you don't. That's how high the water was, apparently not too long ago. Pretty cool. Pretty. I looked on the map, and apparently this is the Sipsey Fork. That is so pretty. It looks like glacial tillwater, but there aren't any glaciers around here, I assure you. I thought you were mushed. I could have mushed you. You okay? Go on now. Get out of the trail. This is the part where I have to ford the Sipsey Fork. At least I can see the rocks under the water. That's a good sign. Ooh. Oh, really hope these trekking balls don't fail me now. My natural inclination here is to go to the left of this V because it just looks more chill there. But what I've always been told is you go after the break because the force has been kind of jumbled up, so it won't push on you as hard. It looks a little bit more shallow over here than right there. So I'm gonna bebop through this jungle gym and try to get right there. Ooh. It's colder than I thought it would be. Ooh. best view is in the middle. This one's not so bad. If I'd come during the storms, I feel like this could have been problematic. Now I gotta figure out where to get up. The main reason I wanted to do this, quote, Walmart challenge is so that people see you don't have to have the fanciest gear to get out there. But so often I'm reviewing gear that is expensive because it's very lightweight, because if you go through hike a trail for 6 months, it makes sense to carry the lightest stuff possible. And for some people, budget isn't an issue, but I feel like people think that you've got to have that high dollar gear to get out and enjoy the trail, and it's just not the truth. You could probably get better budget gear shopping around online or on used gear sites, etc. But I wanted to show people that in a pinch, if your buddies say, hey, we're gonna go backpacking in a couple of days, you wanna join, and you don't have time to get all that stuff together, you can actually piece it together from stopping at Walmarts along the way. Walmarts being plural, several Walmarts, not stop by the Walmarts and get it all. I honestly would have rather stopped at academies along the way, since they also have inexpensive gear, and I would have only shopped at Walmart as a last resort. But Academy is regional, so Walmart is a lot more accessible to more people in the US. Plus, people have been asking me to do a Walmart hike for years. I was gonna push on more, but I don't know how many flat spots are gonna be coming up, so I think this might be home sweet home for the night. I do like this tent, and I think it's gonna work out just fine. It is definitely one-man tent, but I had before this one a youth tent, and it was pretty rad. It had a dinosaur on the side. It was wider than this, but shorter, so the reason I decided to go with this one is, first of all, this one was on clearance, so it was $20-something. The other one was nearly $40. This one would fit most adult hikers because it's longer. The other one fit me fine, but it was wider, so it had more space. So this one, weighing the same, being cheaper, and probably working better for most adults, I decided to test it out instead. But the first Walmart I stopped at did not have a one-person backpacking tent, and then the next one did, but it was heavier than the youth tent, so I almost rocked the dinosaur tent. I'm kind of sad that I don't see his smiling face tonight, but it's gonna be all right. Thankfully, I was able to find a 65-liter pack, probably my second or third Walmart stop, because the one I was gonna use was a 45-liter, and it didn't have hip belt pockets. It also didn't have a back pouch or loops for me to put my tent and sleeping pad. So I got a fanny pack because I was gonna put my camera stuff that I would normally put in my hip belt pocket in the fanny pack and snacks or whatever. And I was just gonna try to make do with some cordage tying my tent to the pack. But thankfully, I didn't end up having to do that, and I found this one that's working out pretty well. I wish I could holler back to him, but he'd fly away. But I got me a good fire going. I got me an owl hooting in the background. It's like a whole Louis L'Amour movie. Book. Not here. And I'm about to cook me some dinner. Normally, I would just cook on the fire, but I didn't buy a stove from Walmart for nothing. I gotta test this bad boy out and see how it does. It's kind of cool how it pivots around like that. Also have to remember to not try to close it up while it's still hot. While I'm waiting on that to rehydrate, I'm gonna have pumpkin pie dessert before dinner because I'm a grown-up and I can. I felt the tickle on my toe. Boop. Where'd it go? Oh, I'm gonna make it mad. Go on, Mr. Spider. Can't eat my toes for dinner. There's definitely a little bit of condensation in here, but it wasn't raining down on me or anything. I just happened to look up and see it. As long as you avoid the walls. And the majority of it is up here at the very top. It is damp on the walls though, but just like other single wall tents, you just have to make sure you avoid the walls with your sleeping bag. I do wonder though, if it poured rain, how much more there would be and if it would pool up on the floor. So that would be something else to avoid, but I still don't think it would be like flooded in here or anything. There is one vent hole here designed to help. And then I slept with the vestibule closed. It would help if I had left it open, of course. So there are ways to mitigate the condensation. Oh, I don't think it got anything. That's me. Let's see. I think that's me. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, that was me setting it up. Bummer. Ooh, that's hot. A 20-liter dry bag was a little bit overkill for a 3-day, 2-night trip. But after checking several Walmarts, this is the best I could do. I didn't find a 15-liter, and I felt like 10-liter would just be pushing it, especially if I wanted to put my fuel can and my pot and my stove and my food bag. Something I've been dreading this morning is putting on these leggings. They're still damp from the crossing, so I'm not. I'm gonna hike in my pajamas because it looks like a pretty day outside. And then when I get too warm, I'll change. You can tell which is the back and which is the front now that I fell and marked it up perfectly. I swear that's mud. Wipeout number 2. In my pajama breeches. Now it's gonna look like a doo-dooed in these two. I almost changed them just a little while ago. I should have. I've gotta stop trusting this mud. Man, I sliding a home base on that one. I'm just trying to get up the hill to the other side and I cannot. It is a whole struggle. Come on. Come on. Okay, this is where trekking poles are your friend. Meow. All right, now this is really cool to see, but out here, not at home. Termites. A whole pile of them. On an all-you-can-eat buffet. Well, I got them somewhat scrubbed out. I think it's early enough in the day that they should be dry by the time I go to bed. Here's an example of what I might have been dodging if I'd come out here a couple weeks ago. Haven't been too many blowdowns though. I've been impressed. Well, this is interesting. Something I've never seen before. A cannibalistic snail. I thought this guy was mashed, but it looks like his buddy was mashed and he's devouring his friend, lover, whatever it is. And the fly's like, let me have some. I felt something on my ankle tickling. I looked and I got this fuzzy fella crawling up my leg. And I'm hoping he doesn't realize that a sting would hurt me. Woo! All right. There you go. No, sir. I'm not lunch. I decided to come do this hike here because other than the Pinhoti Trail, I really haven't explored Alabama much, and everybody talks about the Sipsey Wilderness and how awesome it is, so I wanted to come scope it out. And also, it's not freezing cold here at night right now. For one, I don't love being in the cold if I don't have to, and two, I always recommend to beginners who are getting familiar with their gear that you start doing it when your likelihood of freezing to death is not high. So being as I'm testing all new gear that I just picked up at Walmart, I decided to just go where it was going to be warmer. While you can still get hypothermia in these conditions, the chance is lower if the temperatures aren't dropping super cold at night. I'm guessing that I'm approaching the big waterfall. Oh, wow. Whew. Don't look down. So funny how this is the upper part of that waterfall, and it's like, well, yeah, it's water, but you let it go over an edge like that and suddenly it becomes a sight to see. Apparently one of the draws to the Sipsey Wilderness is there's a big tree here. I think it's just called Big Tree, but I should be hitting that in just a little bit. This is so cool. Well, evidently, this can't be the coolest part of the trail because I am off the trail. Somehow it's below me and looks like a little ways back. It was below me, but judging from the footprints, I'm not the only one that's made this mistake, or maybe other people knew this was just exploration. I'm glad I got to check it out though. Well, I was afraid that my getting lost or making a wrong turn shenanigans made me miss the big tree, but here she blows. I gotta get over there for reference. It's pretty big. Here's some of that fresh mess I was looking for. At the end of the day when I'm ready for camp. Don't be tired now, you're gonna find a bloat in. It really hadn't been bad though. Last one for now. They're always nice, at least when they have these handles here. Ta-da! Looks like some prime real estate. Water source over there. I would like to test this tent in the rain, and probably when I get home, if it doesn't rain while I'm out here, which it's not supposed to, then I'd like to set it up and at least see how it does in the rain. Just a little good bit of sand. The sleeping bag I ended up with is actually a children's youth bag. It's probably a little bit too short for me. It works, but if it was colder, I'd want to burrow down in it more. If it was colder, I would have gotten a warmer rated bag though, and this one just says rated for warm weather. So if you're gonna do the Walmart loadout with a sleeping bag, then I would say definitely aim for warmer temperatures instead of having to get a really heavy bag that's rated for cooler temperatures. I think I could have gotten a 50-degree bag that was an adult mummy bag, but it would have been a pound heavier. And if they had had any fleece sleeping bag liners, I probably would have just gone with that and tried to make it work. It still might be a little bit too cool for that for me, but in the summer months on the AT, I used that fleece sleeping bag liner and it worked wonderfully. I'm gonna do a full review of all of this gear when I get back home, but the overall total cost of all of the gear I purchased at different Walmarts along the way and took with me on trail is $451.49. Now I know this Walmart budget could still be pricey for folks who have a set income, but this is stuff that you can get over time. You can go on and get out there and enjoy nature and start day hiking. Go on and get your pack. That's one thing out of all of it. The Walmart pack is probably my favorite budget pack so far just because it carries the weight so well, but it is a little bit more expensive and actually heavier than some of the other low budget packs I've tried. If you were to take out the cost of clothes that I purchased at Walmart, assuming that people have clothing at home they could go hiking in, it's about $150 cheaper than the budget gear I put together a while back. But that entire loadout was lighter than just the big three of this Walmart loadout. So if you have time, you're not in a rush, and this isn't a last minute trip you're preparing for, and you're trying to build out your gear loadout, I would definitely recommend the trekking poles, sleeping bag, sleeping pad, headlamp, stove, and shoes from that budget list over the items that I got at Walmart. And I'll put a video in the description of this one talking about how you can get your gear one piece at a time and build up to your full loadout and get ready to go on your first backpacking trip. I heard there were a lot of fun guys on this trail, but I really haven't seen anybody, so I guess this is what they meant. You got me all down in the poison ivy just to check you out. There you go. Don't want you to get mashed in the trail. Recording stuff to put online is definitely enjoyable for me, but the part that's so aggravating sometimes is that it's just not the same as seeing it in 3D. I mean, yes, there will be beautiful things that I capture, but there are so many things, critters, even leaves blowing in the wind, for example. It's so pretty and magical in real life, but then I capture it on video and it looks really kind of dumb. So there definitely is a benefit to getting out and doing it yourself. So if you're one of those folks that's been wanting to go backpacking, but you just haven't because of budget, or it seems like you've got to be an expert with all of the best gear to get out there, you don't have to be a thru hiker to go on a trip like this. I wanted to show with this backpacking trip that you don't need expensive gear to just enjoy nature. And I certainly still believe that, but now that I've gotten back home, my dadgum tent is trying to sabotage me and ruin the whole video. It didn't rain when I was on my trip in the Sipsey wilderness, so I didn't get a complete test on the tent. So when I got home, there was a day it was supposed to rain. I set the tent up in the yard and it did rain, but it was more of a sprinkling than the all-out downpour I was looking for. There were no leaking issues, but I decided to leave it in the yard for a few more days because there was more rain forecasted later in the week. And I went outside this morning and the tent was lying on the ground because one of the tent poles is broken. I felt like this was information that should be included in this video so that people would have the full disclosure before they ran out and bought a Walmart tent. If you're gonna go with a Walmart tent because last minute you have to pick one up there, then I would definitely make sure you have some sort of cordage, because I could have at least still made this tent structurally sound enough to sleep in if I was able to tie it out to a tree, a bush, etc.